Welcome to Things You Don't Know. As a part of the series on inventions that impact our world today, we'll be looking at things that are ubiquitous in the kitchen today. Yeah, in the kitchen. Some really interesting things. Specifically, we will cover refrigerators, ovens, microwave ovens, mixers, blenders, and food processors. Yeah, there's a whole lot of other equipment things that we could include, but yeah, we decided to restrict it to that. When we do this, it's probably going to stimulate your salivary glands. So, check out the podcast on saliva for more information about that. So, grab a snack, kick back, and take a look at these wonderful devices with us.
I think that's a first-rate idea. A good place to start is how we prolong the eatability of foods. Refrigerators, appliances designed to keep food and other perishable items cold, have become a staple in homes and businesses worldwide. Their invention and development have significantly impacted food preservation. Check out our canning podcast to know more about that. Health, and convenience. The history of refrigeration dates back to ancient times with significant advancements occurring in the last 2 centuries.
Yeah, early methods of refrigeration before the advent of modern refrigeration uh, were used by ancient cultures. Ancient cultures used to use natural methods to preserve food. Now, this included storing ice and snow in insulated ice houses or underground pits, which kept perishable items cool for more extended periods of time. Now, in ancient Egypt and India, people used evaporative cooling techniques. They placed water filled pots in breezy areas, and as the water evaporated, it cooled the pots and their contents. Now, a version of this is also used in what they call Florida air conditioning. I had one, I made it myself when I was in Florida, and it really works. What you would do in Florida is you would have a stream of water that would be coming down, and you would put a fan behind that and blow. Not hard enough to blow the water, but hard enough to move the air through the water, which cooled, and it would cool a room. It would take a room, we used it on the outdoor patio kind of thing, and it could take the ambient temperature of the day from like 87 or 90 down to like 72. And it really worked well. And guess what? It was cheap. Yes, I had regular air conditioning inside. Anyhow, ancient ice storage. Talk about that for a minute. Okay, so these methods in the ancient days were not particularly effective, although they did prolong the healthiness of the food for a while. Not as good as what we have today.
The concept of mechanical refrigeration began to take shape in the 18th and 19th centuries. The Scottish professor William Cullen demonstrated artificial refrigeration as far back as 1748, though his work was purely experimental. In 1834, American inventor Jacob Perkins built the first practical refrigeration machine using ether in a vapor compression cycle. Perkins' design laid the groundwork for modern refrigeration systems. In the 1850s, James Harrison, a Scottish gentleman who had resettled in Australia, developed a mechanical ice-making machine based on ether vapor compression. His invention was used in breweries and meatpacking plants, which marked the beginning of commercial refrigeration.
It's amazing that these guys were able to do that with what they were working with, isn't it?
With that level of technology, it almost seems otherworldly.
It really does. Okay, the first home refrigerators appeared in the earliest 20th century. For example, in 1913, Fred W. Wolf invented a Dornier domestic electric refrigerator, an early form of the refrigerator that used electricity to cool an insulated compartment. These things were pretty bulky, and there weren't a lot of homes that had them. They still continued to use ice boxes in the first part of the early 20th century. In 1927, General Electric introduced the monitor top refrigerator, the first more widely successful home refrigerator. It featured a hermetically sealed compressor unit mounted on top of the cabinet, making it a bit more efficient and reliable. Still not great, but it was getting there.
A very interesting thing took place at the same time. Marjorie Post, the famous female industrial tycoon who did a wonderful podcast on her, started working with Clarence Birdseye to sell and market frozen foods. And then in the 1930s, the development of safer refrigerants, particularly Freon, revolutionized the whole refrigeration idea. Freon was non-toxic and non-flammable, making refrigerators safer for home use. After World War II, the production and adoption of refrigerators skyrocketed. Innovations in design, materials, and the manufacturing processes made refrigerators more affordable and accessible to the average household. In the 1920s, the cost of a refrigerator was 3 months' wages for an average person in the middle class. In recent decades, there have been significant focus on improving the energy efficiency of refrigerators through advances in compressor technology and insulation. And that's made refrigerants, which has led to a more environmentally friendly and cost-effective appliances, do very important things.
So, refrigerators have become essential appliances in modern homes, offering various features and benefits that enhance daily life. Refrigerators keep perishable food items fresh for longer periods, reducing waste and ensuring a steady supply of safe and nutritious food. Modern refrigerators offer precise temperature control, helping maintain optimal conditions for different types of food, from dairy products to fruits and vegetables. Refrigerators, they come with multiple compartments, shelves, and bins, allowing users to organize their food and beverages efficiently. Many modern refrigerators include features such as water and ice dispensers, smart connectivity, and touch screens, enhancing convenience and functionality. The other thing that was really interesting too that was developed was frost-free refrigerators. In the old days, you would have to defrost your freezer compartment and get the layers and layers of ice off of them. I well remember, my parents putting buckets of, well, not buckets, but pans full of very hot water in there to try and speed that defrosting issue. And it is really nice not to have to do that. The modern ice compartment in a refrigerator does not require defrosting at all. Anyhow, health and safety is a big factor here. By maintaining low temperatures, refrigerators inhibit the growth of harmful bacteria, contributing to food safety and reducing the risk of foodborne illnesses. Refrigerators are also used to store temperature sensitive medicines and vaccines, ensuring their efficacy and safety. Modern refrigerators are designed to be energy efficient, reducing electricity consumption and lowering carbon footprints. The transition to environmentally friendly refrigerants has minimized the impact of refrigeration on global warming and ozone depletion.
I'm certainly glad to hear that. Now that we are chilled, let's get ourselves hot as we explore the history of ovens. That story begins thousands of years ago. The earliest forms of ovens were simple clay structures which were used by the ancient civilizations. These early ovens, dating back to 29,000 BC, 31,000 years ago, friends, were used by mammoth hunters in Central Europe. They were primarily pits heated by fire and covered with hot stones, which could bake, broil, and even roast.
As we move forward in history around 5000 BC, we see the advent of more sophisticated ovens in the Middle East. The ancient Egyptians were credited with inventing the first bread baking oven. These cylindrical clay ovens with a wide base tapering to a narrower top. The heat from burning wood or straw would rise, baking the dough placed on the oven's walls. Now, the Native Americans had some different take on that to some extent. They often, baked their bread or other things that they needed to do, like over an open flame, and then later developed something similar to what I was just talking about with the Egyptians.
I know when my sister went to Egypt about 10 years ago, she saw um, an oven in one area that they said had gone back not quite that far, but at least 1,000 years. When you fast forward to the Roman era, you start to find even more advanced oven designs. The Romans developed ovens with chimneys to draw out the smoke and more effectively control the cooking temperature. This innovation greatly improved the efficiency and the functionality of the ovens, making them more common in households and in professional bakeries.
During the Middle Ages, ovens continued to evolve. The medieval European kitchens featured large masonry ovens, which were an integral part of communal bread baking. These ovens were made of stone and had arched roofs to contain the heat more effectively. Now, if you look back to what was happening in the South, where heat was more of an issue, that is one of the reasons why they had a separate house, which for the kitchen. It's interesting. We'll get into that in a minute.
The 18th century brought the Industrial Revolution, which dramatically changed oven design. In 1735, British inventor Thomas Freefall patented the first cast iron oven. Cast iron retained heat more effectively and was much more durable than previous materials. This period also saw the introduction of the coal burning stove, which combined an oven and a stovetop, marking it as the precursor to the modern kitchen range.
Now, I know when we're talking ovens, everyone would jump up and down if we didn't mention the Franklin stove. And it was a very significant invention. Benjamin Franklin in 1742 created that Franklin stove. Although it wasn't an oven in the traditional sense, the Franklin stove was a metal lined fireplace designed to provide more heat with less fuel. Its design influenced future developments in heating and cooking appliances, making it an important milestone in the evolution of kitchen technology. Now, I have actually seen houses where they used these Franklin stoves as inserts in their homes, not for cooking, but for heating their house in some fairly cold climates. But it was I didn't think that it would work, but I'll tell you what, those Franklin stoves, you know, they would run you out of the house with the heat.
I can well imagine. We've done several podcasts on Benjamin Franklin, both on his inventions and his contributions to the founding of the United States. You might want to check those out. In the late 19th century, the invention of gas ovens really revolutionized home cooking. The first gas oven, patented by James Sharp in 1826, provided a more controllable and consistent heat source compared to wood or coal. Gas ovens quickly became popular in urban areas where gas lines were readily available.
And then came the 20th century, a period of rapid technological advancement. In 1945, an accidental discovery by Percy Spencer, an engineer working on radar technology during World War II, led to the invention of the microwave oven. What happened, and there's a famous story, I'm sure many people know it. Spencer noticed that a chocolate bar in his pocket melted while he was working with microwaves. This sparked the idea that microwaves could be used to cook food.
What an amazing product coming out of something so ordinary. The first microwave oven, known as the radar range, was introduced by Raytheon in 1947. However, it was massive, expensive, and primarily used in commercial settings. It wasn't until 1967 that Amana, a subsidiary of Raytheon, released a countertop version for home use. This model was more compact, more affordable, and became a household sensation, transforming how people cooked and heated food, much to the delight of college students forever.
Yeah. Today, ovens and microwave ovens come in a variety of designs and functionalities, from convection ovens that circulate hot air for even cooking to smart ovens that could be controlled via smartphone apps. And the journey from simple clay ovens to today's high tech appliances reflects humanity's continuous quest for convenience and efficiency in cooking.
As we mentioned, microwave ovens burst onto the scene in the late 40s and early 50s, promising to revolutionize home cooking. Their ability to heat food quickly and efficiently made them an instant hit. However, along their rise in popularity came a wave of concerns and even some fears about their safety.
Yeah, some real, some not. One of the earliest and most persistent fears was that microwave ovens could cause cancer. This fear stemmed from the fact that microwaves use radiation to heat food. However, it's crucial to understand the difference between ionizing and non ionizing radiation. Microwave ovens use non ionizing radiation, which is not powerful enough to alter the structure of atoms or molecules or to cause cancer. Scientific research has consistently shown that the radiation used in microwave ovens is safe and does not pose a cancer risk.
Another common concern is the potential for microwave ovens to leak radiation. While it's true that a damaged or poorly maintained microwave can leak radiation, modern microwave ovens are designed with multiple safety features to prevent this. The FDA regulates microwave ovens and requires them to meet stringent safety standards to ensure that any leakage remains far below harmful levels.
A more practical concern is the danger of burns and injuries. Now, microwave ovens can heat food unevenly, leading to hot spots that can cause burns when touched. This is particularly true for liquids, which can superheat and explode suddenly. To minimize this risk, it's important to stir liquids and let them sit briefly before handling them. One of the things that I learned very quickly, it was a one trial learning experience, is don't heat a whole potato up in the microwave without putting some vent holes in the potato. Because if you do not, you have a very high chance of the ding dong potato exploding and coating the inside of your microwave oven with all kinds of yucky potato stuff. And it's also rather daunting to hear this kabam. Food safety is another real concern with microwave cooking. The uneven heating can sometimes leave cold spots in foods, which might not reach temperatures sufficient to kill harmful bacteria. This is especially important when cooking or reheating meats. Using a food thermometer can check that food has reached a safe internal temperature and can help mitigate that risk.
That's a very important safety tip. Then there are the imagined dangers, which are fueled by myth and misinformation. One such myth is that microwaving food destroys its nutritional value. While microwaving can cause some nutrient loss, it's comparable to other cooking methods like boiling or steaming. In fact, because microwaving cooks food quickly and with less water, it can actually help retain more nutrition in some cases.
Yeah, indeed. Another persistent myth is that microwaved food is radioactive. This is simply not true. Microwave ovens use electromagnetic waves to agitate water molecules in food, creating heat. The food itself does not become radioactive or emit radiation after being microwaved. Just doesn't happen.
Interestingly, some fears have historical roots. In the early days of microwave technology, there were reports of pacemaker interference. While early models of pacemakers were sensitive to electromagnetic interference, modern pacemakers are very well shielded and pose no risk around microwave ovens. Lastly, let's touch on environmental concerns. While not a direct danger to users, the disposal of old microwaves does contribute to electronic waste. It's very important that to ensure proper recycling because the proper recycling and disposal of microwaves can mitigate their environmental impact.
Hey, now that we've gotten cool and hot, let's explore the evolution of mixers and blenders. Let's mix it up. From the early mechanical versions to the high tech gadgets in our kitchens today, let's whisk up a little history. Our story begins in the early 20th century with the invention of mechanical mixers. Before mixers, people relied on hand whisking and stirring, which was labor intensive and time consuming. The first significant breakthrough came from Herbert Johnson, an engineer for the Hobart Manufacturing Company.
In 1919, Mr. Johnson invented the first electric standing mixer, known as the Hobart Model H. It was inspired by observing a baker mixing dough and realizing how a machine could greatly simplify the process. The mixer was primarily used in commercial bakeries, but it laid the groundwork for household versions.
The next major milestone came in 1922 when Stephen Poplawski, a Polish American inventor, patented the first drink mixer, which eventually evolved into the modern blender. Poplawski's device was initially designed for soda fountains to make malted milkshakes. It featured a spinning blade at the bottom of a container capable of thoroughly mixing liquids and soft foods.
Around that same time in the 1930s, Fred Osysis, one of the founders of the Hamilton Beach Manufacturing Company improved upon Poplawski's design. He created a more efficient blender, and with funding from Fred Waring, a very popular musician of that era, introduced the Waring blender in 1937. This blender gained a widespread popularity, especially in bars and restaurants, for making mixed drinks and smoothies.
Meanwhile, in the mixer world, the 1930s also saw a significant development. Lillian Gilbreth, an industrial psychologist and engineer, contributed to the design of the KitchenAid mixer, which was first introduced in 1919 but refined over the years and continued to be refined right along for many, many years. The KitchenAid stand mixer became a staple in American households, known for its durability and versatility. In my opinion, KitchenAid stand mixers are the best. They are a little more expensive, but they seem to last forever. Well, unless your wife drops it off a 10-foot high cabinet, as mine did.
Oh, dear. One interesting observation is the cultural impact of these appliances. In the 1950s, blenders became synonymous with modernity and convenience in the kitchen. They were featured in advertisements as symbols of the futuristic, efficient home. The blender's ability to quickly prepare a variety of foods and drinks made it a beloved gadget. The evolution did not stop there. The 60s and 70s saw the introduction of more advanced features like variable speed controls and improved safety mechanisms. Mixers and blenders became even more versatile, capable of handling a broader range of tasks from kneading dough to pureeing soups.
In recent years, the rise of health and wellness trends has further boosted the popularity of high powered blenders. Brands like Vitamix and NutriBullet cater to the demand for smoothies, juices, and other health focused recipes. These modern blenders boast very powerful motors and advanced blade designs, making them essential tools for health conscious matters. I particularly have a fondness for the type of blenders that don't just have one blade, but they actually have a lower blade and a medium level blade, and they are really good. I have one. Similarly, mixers have seen technological advancements like today's stand mixers often come with a variety of attachments for tasks like pasta making, meat grinding, and even spiralizing vegetables. They've really become multifunctional kitchen powerhouses.
Ladies and gentlemen, now that we've been cool, gotten hot, and mixed it up, let's chop through the history and invention of food processors, from their origins in commercial kitchens to becoming another indispensable home gadget. Let's slice into that story. Our journey begins in the 1960s. Before food processors, people relied on hand chopping, slicing, and grating, which were labor intensive and very time consuming. The need for a device that could handle these tasks quickly and efficiently was becoming apparent, especially in commercial kitchens.
I have to interrupt the flow here just for a second because, in my opinion, I do a lot of cooking. I enjoy it. The most dangerous thing in your kitchen is the hand use mandolin. I cannot tell you how many times I've cut myself on the blessed thing. And yeah, when it slices good too. Yeah. So if you get one of those, yeah, they have the hand things, but save up some money as I'm doing and get a food processor instead and save your hands. Anyhow, Pierre Verdun, a French catering company salesman who invented the Le Merzu in 1963. This was the first food processor designed for commercial use. Verdun's invention featured a bowl with a blade that spun rapidly, allowing chefs to chop, mix, and puree large quantities of food quickly. It really was a game changer for restaurants and catering businesses. The success of Le Magimont inspired another French inventor, Carl Sontheimer, who saw its potential for the home kitchen. Sontheimer modified and improved Verdun's design, creating a more compact and user-friendly version. In 1971, he introduced the Cuisine Art processor at a housewares show in Chicago.
Talk about a life-altering product. Cuisine art was an instant hit. It revolutionized the way home cooks prepared meals, offering an efficient way to chop, slice, shred, and puree ingredients. Famous television chef and TV personality Julia Child was one of its early advocates. She praised its versatility and convenience, helping to boost its popularity. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, food processors continued to evolve. Companies like KitchenAid and Robot Coupe entered the market, offering models with various attachments and features. These innovations allowed food processors to handle an even wider range of tasks, from kneading bread dough to grating cheese and even making baby food.
Indeed, one interesting observation is the food processor's impact on culinary creativity. By simplifying labor intensive tasks, it allowed home cooks to experiment with more complex recipes. It became easier to prepare dishes like pesto, hummus, and homemade nut butters, which previously required significant time and effort. Now I can actually speak to that because I like hummus, um, and it is so simple to make if you have the proper, automated things, either the a food processor or one of those double blade blenders. You can just whip up hummus in no time at all, and it's better because you know exactly what's in it. In recent years, food processors have seen further advancements. Modern models often feature multiple speed settings, larger capacities, and more powerful motors. Some even come with digital controls and pre programmed settings for specific tasks. This ongoing innovation ensures that food processors remain a staple in both home and professional kitchens.
I share your passion for hummus. It's absolutely delicious. Moreover, the rise of health-conscious cooking has also kept food processors in high demand. They make it easier to prepare fresh whole foods at home, aligning with trends like meal prepping and plant-based diets. From chopping vegetables for a stir fry to blending ingredients for a smoothie, food processors continue to play a critical role in healthy eating. Well, let's talk about inventions. Reminds me, we have a milestone of our own coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our 100th podcast on Things You Don't Know, our 100th episode, I'm sorry. I'm overwhelmed with pride and gratitude to Dr. Weaver for planting and nourishing this amazing idea of taking my lifelong love of history out of the libraries, out of the ancient books, and into the sunlight of reality, making all these fancy ideas understandable to everybody. I want to express my gratitude to all of our listeners, all of the wonderful people who have participated in various episodes. It's really been a joy. It's been a lot of hard work, but it's been worth it.
Well, thanks, Dr. Dean. I appreciate the compliment there. It has been fun and hopefully interesting to our listeners. I also want to mention that our other channel, History Twists, it's up, it's running, and I hope our listeners will check that out. We've already had a bunch of people looking at that, and Wow. I think that is going to be a lot of fun. Probably actually more work because of the way we do it. I know that there's a lot of people who do history twists. They call it alternate history, whatever's, and they just get on there and either give you a history book lesson or they just get on there and spout, off. You know, this could happen, that could happen. Well, what we've decided to do, our paradigm is to say this is briefly, this is what happened. But now, what if we change this one thing, and bam, everything is different because, as we've said so many times, with boots on the ground history, we know history is interconnected. Past, present, and future, it's all the same thing. It's a flow, it's a time flow. And history twists taps into that by saying, what if one thing was different? We have one coming up that I'm really excited about, on history twists. It's about the Norse, the Vikings, in other words, if they had just come a little further south instead of just stopping in Iceland and Greenland and come further south and met up with the Powhatan tribe, Native Americans, it would have changed the world. Please tune into that one. It'll be up soon. In the meantime, we want to for you to give us a like for things you don't know and subscribe. And we're going to say goodbye for now.
I echo everything Dr. Weaver said. It's been a wonderful experience both with this podcast and History Twists. And we have some amazing things that are already up and many more coming. Thank you very much, friends. Bye for now.